Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it.
The music faltered mid-note, champagne flutes stilled, and laughter vanished as sharply as the sting on my cheek. For a moment, the entire ballroom froze, caught between the echo of a slap and the silence that followed. My mother stood before me, trembling not with remorse, but with fury, her perfectly manicured hand still suspended in the air. "You selfish little ingrate," she hissed, loud enough for the chandeliers to tremble. "After all we've done for you?" I touched the corner of my lip, split, my jaw ached, my ego bruised. But worse than the pain was the humiliation. The room full of guests, the cameras, the photographer mid-shot, and there I stood, slapped across the face at my younger brother Callum's wedding. The reason? I had refused to give up my villa. "It's just a house, Brandon," she had cornered me an hour earlier, her voice syrupy and insistent. "Callum and Suffy need a proper place to start their life. You live there alone, it's wasted on you." "Because I earned it?" I'd replied quietly. "Because I worked for every square inch of it." "Don't be dramatic," she snapped. "Be reasonable." Reasonable, like giving up the only thing in my life that wasn't claimed or commandeered by my family. Then, just now, in front of 200 guests, she slapped me. From the head table, I saw Callum glance at me with that smug, polished smile he always wore when winning without deserving. Suffy leaned into him, whispering something with a curl of satisfaction on her lips. I straightened. I wasn't crying. Not now, not ever for them. "You'll regret this," I said to no one and everyone. Then I turned and walked out. The door slammed shut behind me like a verdict. In that moment, I stopped being the loyal son, the silent brother. That slap didn't humiliate me. It woke me up. The next morning, the world still buzzed with whispers from the wedding, but I sat in the far corner of Brew Theory, my fingers wrapped around a chipped ceramic mug. Cinnamon and roasted beans swirled in the air, soft jazz playing beneath the clatter of morning cups. My face still carried the faint bloom of last night's slap, but I was done being bruised in body or spirit. Mike, the barista who'd seen me hunched over this very table through years of all-nighters and debugging marathons, didn't ask questions. He placed a strong Americano and a chocolate muffin in front of me. "Rough night," he offered gently. My mother hit me. I replied, eyes fixed on the foam. "At my brother's wedding, because I wouldn't give them my villa." Mike's brow furrowed. "The villa you coded your life away for?" I nodded once. "Jesus, Brandon." "Yeah." I took a sip. "They say family means sacrifice. I say it's extortion in a designer dress." That was when the anger crystallized, not as fury, but as strategy. I pulled out my laptop, the keys familiar and comforting under my fingers. My GitHub lit up with private repositories, each one a stone in the fortress I'd been quietly building for years. They thought I was just a developer. What they didn't know was, I had access. Full admin rights to their devices, cloud storage, even the accounting software of Callum's doomed crypto firm. I dug deep. Offshore transfers, falsified investor decks, licensing code he copied from my early projects, and my mother, listed as a consultant in 2 shell companies Callum laundered funds through. I opened a new tab and messaged Claudia, my real estate agent. "Remember that high rise on the bay? I'm ready to buy, all of it." Her reply came within seconds. "Done. You'll own the building they've been waiting months to move into." I closed my laptop and looked up at Mike. "They tried to take my home," I said, "so I'm taking their future." His eyes widened. "Brandon, what are you planning?" I smiled for the first time in days. Phase 1. 10 days. That's how long they kept up the silence before my father barged into my building like he still owned everything. My time, my thoughts, my obedience. He pushed past the concierge, ignored the security warning, and hammered on my door with all the fury of a man who'd lost control. I opened it slowly, laptop tucked under one arm, the other hand braced against the doorframe. "We need to talk," he barked. "I doubt that," I said, coolly stepping aside. "But sure, 5 minutes." He stepped in like a general returning to his base, confident, blind. "Your mother's in tears. Callum's humiliated. You've caused enough damage, Brandon." "You're right," I said, already pulling up a screen, but not nearly as much as I could. He turned toward me, puzzled, until I spun my laptop around. Displayed neatly, transaction logs from Callum's crypto firm, shell account summaries, consulting payments to H&H Consulting, signed by my mother, with offshore routing codes. I clicked another folder, email exchanges between them, with my father CC'd. "What is this?" he whispered. "Receipts," I replied. "Fraud, money laundering, copyright infringement, and guess what? Some of that code. Mine. You hacked. I built the servers, I interrupted. I maintained everyone's devices for a decade. This wasn't hacking, this was cleanup." He backed away a step, but the fight still flickered behind his eyes. "What do you want?" I looked him straight in the eye. Distance, no more contact, no more demands, no more fake family loyalty, and the villa stays mine. He clenched his jaw. Or what? I sent all of this to the SEC, and I released the security footage of Mom slapping me at the wedding. Full clarity, public record. He flinched like I'd hit him back. "Brandon," he muttered. "No, I closed the laptop. You don't get to call me that anymore. I'm not your son. I'm the firewall you never saw coming." As he left, silent and shaken, my phone buzzed. A message from Callum. "You've changed." I typed back without hesitation. "No, I've just stopped protecting people who never protected me." 3 months after the wedding, I heard the door intercom buzz. I almost ignored it until I saw her face on the screen. My mother. Her makeup was thinner, her hair less styled. Her confidence? Gone. She clutched an envelope like it was her last bargaining chip. "Your father's birthday dinner. Please, Brandon," she said softly. We'd like you to come." I opened the door but didn't invite her in. She didn't ask to be. She just held the envelope out and left with a whisper. "We miss you." I didn't decide until the night of the dinner. I arrived late, deliberately, wearing a midnight blue suit sharp enough to slice through the past. The old family home was quieter now. No servants, no catered trays, just uncertainty and thin wine. Callum sat on the far end of the table, dressed in discount brands, the smugness wiped clean. Safi barely looked up. My father didn't stand when I walked in. He merely nodded. "Brandon," he said carefully, "glad you came." "I'm not here to mend anything," I replied, sitting, just observing. Dinner was strained. Conversation avoided any subject that mattered. My mother smiled too brightly, too often, laughing at things that weren't jokes. I said almost nothing, letting their unease grow. At one point, my father cleared his throat. "We've made mistakes." I didn't respond. "You were right," he added, "about Callum. About all of it." Still, I stayed silent. Words were cheap. Change was the currency I dealt in now. After dessert, as I stood to leave, Callum looked up for the first time. "So what now?" he asked, voice hollow. I tilted my head. "Now, you build a life without stealing mine. No more threats, no more ultimatums, just clarity." As I stepped out into the cool night, I realized I didn't feel anger anymore, only distance. They weren't enemies now, just people I used to know. And for once, that was enough. A year had passed. The villa, once a symbol of isolation, now thrived as my sanctuary, filled with peace, purpose, and people who mattered. That evening, I hosted a quiet rooftop dinner, not for my parents, not for Callum, but for those who had stood beside me through the storm. Mike, the barista who offered quiet understanding and free coffee when I needed both. Claudia, my real estate agent who sealed the deal that reshaped my future. Olivia, my lawyer, calm and unshakable, who ensured every boundary was legally reinforced. As sunset painted the skyline gold, Mike lifted his glass. "To Brandon," he said, "who turned a slap into an empire." The table laughed. I just smiled, the wind catching the edge of the linen as I glanced out across the city. My phone buzzed, a text from Callum. "We're selling the house, trying to start fresh." I answered simply, "Good luck." Mike leaned in. "Do you ever miss them?" I didn't even hesitate. I don't miss what I never truly had. Because I finally understood. Family isn't who shares your blood. It's who respects your soul. They tried to take my home, but gave me something greater. And I built a life from that. Not out of revenge, but from power, peace, and self-respect. Brick by brick, choice by choice. A life that no one could take from me again.
Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.